And so I do want to recognize that there are people who, this is your first time teleworking, and also that there are people who are teleworking with children, because your children are home and they're not going to school, and you're also not used to working with your kids at home. And so just want to start with the basics of some strategies for teleworking. So as much as possible, you want to mimic what it feels like to go to work. That's just an overall rule. And so you used to leave and go to your office. You would get up at a certain time. You would get dressed. You might have an exercise ritual that you do. You might have a spiritual ritual that you do. And then you leave, you get your kids together, you leave, you go to work, right? You leave the house. And so as much as possible, you want to maintain that. You want to get up at the same time. You want to get your kids ready at the same time, because they also have a ritual they're used to too. Remember, they're working from home too, and they're not used to that either. And so if you have children, you want to get them ready in the same way that you would, because it helps to maintain a sense of normalcy, right, that we're used to. So we have this, people are saying this new normal that we're doing, but really our normal feels like something else. And so as much as possible, you want to do that. You want to mimic your work schedule. So get dressed. I know people think working from home means I can put on my sweats so I can work in my PJs and I can have my slippers on and I might not have my hair wrapped up, and you might do that sometimes. But if you want to really put yourself in the mindset of working, then you should get dressed. Get dressed, put on something, put a little makeup on if that's what you're used to doing, do your hair, put an earring in. This all helps our psyche. We're used to this. We want to feel the same way. And so it really keeps you in the mindset of working. The second thing I want to say is keep to your schedule. I mentioned that, but that is so important. So even if you're working from home, if you were at the office and you usually take lunch around 12 or 1, then take lunch around 12 or 1. Still do that. The third thing that I want to say is designate space to work. Years ago, I had a private practice, and in my private practice, I helped people to organize them. I was a space therapist. I helped people organize their space, but also help them manage their time. And I wrote a blog, and I remember it was called "The Couch is the Devil." That was the blog. The couch is the devil, because the couch represents comfort and coziness. We snuggle on the couch, we watch TV, we chill out, we take naps. None of that says I'm gonna be productive. None of that says I'm gonna be productive. And I think even I'm guilty of it. Sometimes I'm like, I just want to sit on the couch and work on this, this project. And before I know it, I'm just drifting off in la la land because it's soft and it's cozy. You really should designate a space to work that's not the couch if you can help it. You're going to be, the bed is the devil. I see you, Kate. The bed is the devil as well in this case, right? And so that's a good point, Katie. Thank you for saying that in the chat. You want to think about the function of where you're working. You sleep in the bed. You relax in the bed. You don't work in the bed. That's not the place for this. It's counterintuitive, right? And so in creating space, you want to find, if you can, a table. If you don't have an office space in your home or a desk, you want to find at least a table. That's maybe the kitchen table. It might be the dining room table. It might be what you have. But you want to carve out a space that is work. So again, you have family, the kids, they may need a space to work. Those things are all there. And so as much as possible, find a space. You want to make sure it's conducive to how you work. So here's the thing. Let me throw this in there to think about. And this is something we don't often think about. And you should think about this even if you're working in an office and you're not working at home. This is a thing you should think about. Our brains process information in a certain type of way. most people know, the typical ways like visual, your visual processor or an auditory processor or a kinesthetic processor. You like to feel or you need to see. And all of us have a level of all of those. We just have a primary one typically that we operate from. So for example, I'm super visual. I am more visual than anything else. And so for me to be productive, I have to see. Like you can't see, but behind this screen, I'm in my home office. Behind the screen, there's a big old whiteboard and I put things up, sticky notes. I need to see things in order to really move me through what I have to do. You might be kinesthetic. You might need to write things down. You might need to write it down on a notebook. You might need to do that. So when you're thinking about your space, and what space in your house is the best space for that. Think about what your way of processing information, because that's going to help you be productive. And you don't want to pick a space that's counterintuitive to that. So I'm visual. It would be very hard for me to work in the room where the TV is, because I'm just going to be distracted. My brain is going to go to TV or work with the TV on and off. Like that's too much for me. I can't do it. Some people, it's white noise and they can hear it because they're auditory. They can hear it in the background and it doesn't bother them at all. So when thinking about picking a space, and for a lot of people, if you don't have a home office, you might have a desk that is in another space, in a living room, in a space. And so it's important to honor kind of how you process information when choosing a space. I see some people having some comments. LaBrittany said she had to go to the dining room table and keep a list, absolutely, for you to stay on task. Katie likes the color code. Yes, Dawn, you are making my very next point. You have to prepare the other people in your house that you are working. Because if you have kids, mommy is home. Mommy is mommy. Mommy is not, daddy is daddy. Daddy is not an employee. Daddy is not a therapist. Daddy is daddy. And so they don't know that. They don't necessarily have made that switch. Your spouses may not have made that switch. I can attest. I work from home full time. My spouse works from home full time, but his schedule is very different than mine. And so I am constantly working. He has these shots of work. And so it's very different. So there are times when he might be chilling. I'm working and he wants to talk to me about something he saw on Facebook. And I'm just like, I am working right now. This is not the moment. So it's important to communicate with your loved ones about the timing. So the thing that, good, Ange, yes, you have a home office. If you have a home office, go in it. If you have a room that you can shut a door and be at work and not be actually visible to other people. I saw somebody put a sign on the door and say, Daddy is working, right? So the kids would not knock during a certain time because he's working right now. And so you think that you can do stuff all day long. They think that you are available. And so prep them, have a conversation with them. And if you have young kids, you have to prepare for them to be occupied, right? If they have a school time, good friend of mine had a great strategy. She posted on Facebook. Because she's working from home, right? She works from home all the time, but I think because the kids aren't usually there, they don't know how to adjust. They're usually not there when she's at home. And so they want to eat all day. They want snacks and they want to interrupt her for snacks and juice. And so she took some dollar store little trays, the little colorful ones, and she put them in a row. She put their little names on them, and that's their snack bins, so that they don't have to come to her to ask for snacks. They can go get their own snacks because she's laid them out for them. She's chosen the snacks she wants them to eat, and they can go get them themselves and not interrupt her so much. So it is thinking about your kids, thinking about your family and what their needs are, and planning ahead for what they're going to do when they come to it. Like, you have to plan ahead and say, I don't want them to interrupt me. I know this child. I know this man. I know that this is what they're going to need. Let me set them up so I can focus, right? I want to acknowledge some of the comments that are being said. Um, right, because you are in your home office, Dawn, people know you're busy and they know that they need to, it's mommy's time to work. Right. The TV, yeah, no, that's a distraction, but some people do need background noise or white noise. And so I'm a singer and I have to be very selective. I listen to music all the time. I have to be very selective to the music that I'm listening to and what mood it puts me in. So jazz is great because it doesn't have words. So I appreciate that, because otherwise I'm typing and I'm in a full concert. I don't even want to work no more. So it can't be Beyonce. I can't listen to Beyonce when I work. Like, it doesn't work for me. I can listen to jazz though. So I appreciate that, LaBrittany. Exactly. You get dancing. I'm the same. I am the same. Same for parents. If you have parents in your home, like your parents, also, that's a good point, LaBrittany. Let people know when you're on a call. My husband has a very boisterous voice and laugh, and he's on the phone. And our walls and floors are thin, so he can be downstairs in the living room, which is right underneath the office, and he will burst into laughter. And I will have coworkers on my video call be like, somebody isn't having a good time. I'm like, my husband, he's downstairs. And he doesn't realize that we can all hear that. And so that's the thing too. You have to tell people what's happening. I'm getting ready to go on a call. I have a sticky note that goes on the door that says on a call. So he's in busing. We share an office, but he isn't really in here at the same time. So when he comes up and I'm in a call, I'm like, shush, I let him know before he walks in that I'm on a call. And I might be on a video call. And so, our screens face away from the door, which is also maybe a strategy as well, as you place your laptop or your computer in whatever space you designate, that maybe you want to try to put it against a wall, or that will make it more effort for somebody to be on camera. They would have to come behind you, as opposed to people just seeing all of your life happening all over the place. That as well. I'm sure you don't want your coworkers to know all of your business in your house or whatever, or your clients to know what's all of that. And so that helps to maintain your boundaries. Yes. Sincere mentioned that daily rituals. So that gets back to keeping your schedule. But also, and this is a strategy that you should be doing even if you work at work. You don't want to sit at your desk all day. You should be getting up, taking a break, moving your body, moving your legs. If you take a walk for lunch, or if that's part of the ritual. So, and the more you get into having this consistency, because that's what makes a ritual is the consistency of it. And so as you keep doing it, your kids and your family will also get to know what the ritual is and what do we do every day. Specifically, those who have kids, your kids are also in a new normal. They also have a schedule. And so also think about this for them. Where is the space that they work? What is their time frames? School age kids often have these blocks of time, right? They have where they're in this class, or they move through their day on a time schedule. Usually their teachers post that time schedule. They know at 10 o'clock we have reading, and at 12 we have lunch, and at 1 we do centers. And this is how you don't have to be your child's teacher in that way, but posting it for them, if they are old enough to read and understand, comprehend, that's important, because then it's a reminder that you don't have to keep verbalizing. They can visually see it. They know to go to the space, that kind of thing. So a couple of other tips that I have, because I know we have another topic, and I want to, if you have questions and you're not sure how to do something, please put them in the chat so I can be more specific. So the thing about workspace, and this is any workspace, whether you have your designated office, or you're working at the kitchen table, or you just have a desk in a corner, regardless of what that is, you always want to have on your space only the things that you need to reach. You only need to have the things in front of you that you need to see. Otherwise, it can create clutter, and it can create a visual presence that's overwhelming as much as possible, right? And so if you don't need to reach it every day, all day, then you shouldn't really have it on your desk. Put it away until you need to get it, and then you can bring it out. Same for things. People like to have visual, but when I think about the point that Sincere is making, when you're feeling anxious, which we all are to some degree, or you're feeling stressed, even if it's not work-related stress, it's important to not, your brain is processing that, and you just don't realize how much visual stimulation you are also putting more stress on the brain. So you minimize that as much as possible in the moments that you're working so that you can be productive. So those are two things that I would tell anybody working anywhere, including at home, just to help minimize some of that stress. Sincere mentioned parents being patient. The schools are adjusting, and I know it's a shift. And I know Ange and I talked about this earlier when we chatted about how you have these these people online. Let me say this: minimize your online presence, because it's not always healthy for you. Just manage and balance that, because people are online and they're saying, here is the time, you got all the time in the world now. You can organize your whole house, redo your garage. You can start a business. You can you can write a book. That book you've been wanting to write, you can write that. Okay, I don't know how anybody else feels. I don't necessarily feel like I got some extra time. I feel the same. I'm working the same amount. I don't have extra time. And so please don't take on other people's visions for you. You create your time. You create what you need to do in this time to manage your anxieties and the stress that we're all feeling. Yes, and thank you for saying you feel like you work more, Brittany, because that's a part of that schedule. You have to turn off. Just because you're working from home don't mean you work all the time. If you were at work, you would leave your office at a certain time, you would come home. That's part of the schedule. Have an end time to your work. First of all, your family needs you to have an end time, because the kids are like, listen, mommy's been working all day. Daddy's been in that office. I need him to come out. It's time. It's time. So have an end time. If you work from 9 to 5, work from 9 to 5. And set boundaries with your employer. Let me say that, because I do think that this is new for employers as well. And so people might feel like, I can reach you anytime. I got an email from somebody at like 10:30 on Saturday night. And I saw it because it was on my phone. However, I didn't respond to it until Monday morning because my weekend is my weekend. And so I'm not at work on the weekend. And so make sure that you continue to set those boundaries as well. And we are working more. We are working more. If there are any questions, I just want to make sure that we have time for Ange, because what she's going to say is important. And one other thing, I just looked at my note. Know your best time of day. I don't know about you all, but I like to get started early in the morning working. I like to be in my office. I like to get my, do my ritual in the morning with prayer or whatever. And then I like to get my tea. I have a cup of tea. I don't drink coffee every morning. Have my tea, sit at my desk, and start my day. Around about 3 o'clock, my brain wants to take a nap. My brain is just like, you have done a lot today. I want to go to sleep. When you schedule, you have to figure out what that sweet spot is for you. If you know that you got the 3 o'clock downturn that happens, you need to do something and, pick things to do in that time that doesn't require your brain to process in the same way you need to process at 8 o'clock in the morning. So that might be a good time to take that walk and take that break to wake up a little bit. That might be a good time to check in on the kids. Say, what's going on? Let me see. And make sure you announce it too. If you're going to take a break and check in on your children, say to them, okay, mommy has 5 minutes. that I have 10 minutes. We're going to do this for 10 minutes. So they know I'm not here forever. I'm not permanently staying out here to play with you or work with you. This is what I need to do. Okay. Any questions that you might have, please put it in. Nia Johnson, I don't know the Pomodoro technique, but I'm going to look it up. Set timers. Yes, set timers. I do that on my phone. Give myself an hour or 30 minutes or whatever to do a specific task. That's always important. So please put your questions in the box. I recognize it's 1:30. I want to keep us on task. And let Miss Ange jump in with her part. So thank y'all for listening to me talk. Appreciate y'all comments for sure. And continue to comment. If you have other strategies that you use, please share. Ange, there you go. Take it away.
Okay, thank you, Amanda. I think that was really great. I was taking a lot of notes and looking at my notes. I'm excited for the information that you gave. I know for me, we talked about this yesterday. I never worked from home. You know, a lot of us, and I appreciate your advice because you're an expert on telework, Amanda. So I take what you say. So, but I never worked from home. So I was forced to work from home. So I appreciate what you said. I used my bedroom first, just trying to find rhythm. Use my bedroom first, and I felt like overwhelmed. Then I went to the living room and the dining room. It was good until I started monitoring other people's behaviors in my house. Like I'm in a meeting and I'm like, they could see me in Zoom. They could see my facial expressions. So then I officially moved downstairs back into my home office where you see the door, Amanda, you talked about people coming in, you see the door. So if they come in, they're going to be in the on screen and they don't like that. So, so now I found space because one of the things, Amanda, is that I realized that first they told us the end of March, then they told us the end of April, and then they told us something maybe in June. So then I said, I need to move downstairs because I can't continue to do what I'm doing. So, okay. So when Christy said, don't sit the whole time, get up, just jumps and jacks and move your body. Okay, so now Amanda talked to us and gave us some really good tips on how to survive working from home for those of us who like to get up, get in a car, and go somewhere to work. But now we're going to talk a little bit about going to the grocery store, the supermarket. That's the conversation I wanted to have. So if you're Zoom chatting with us, how many people go to the grocery store? And the reason I ask is that you may not be the designated grocery store shopper. So how many of you guys shop at the grocery store? So okay, all right. Okay. Someone told me, I was having a conversation with someone recently, and they told me that since March 13 or whatever it was, they have not left their home. They do not go to the grocery store. Everything gets done online. Okay, if they can, they just don't leave the house. So we are in 6 weeks of this pandemic. So talk to me a little bit, if you can type, how do you feel on a scale from 1 to 10, 1 being not so great and 10 being amazing. On a scale from 1 to 10, someone stay in the house the whole time. They didn't, nope, their anxiety level, we talked about how everyone, you're stressed, anxiety, fear, loss. Some people are afraid, the loss is the loss of their life, right? So on a scale from 1 to 10, how do you feel 6 weeks now from when they first told you that, oh my God, this is serious in the US of A? from a scale from 1 to 10, where are you with the grocery shopping? And I'm going to tell you where I am, and then we're going to get to look at some of those strategies. If I spoke on 7, okay, if I spoke with you 6 weeks ago, the conversation that we would have had would have been completely different. So I'm going to have similar conversation, 5 to 6. Okay, I see 5 to 6. I see 6. We're going to talk a little bit about what is making me think differently, and you tell me if we're on the right track. So 6 weeks ago, the grocery started out at, okay, you started at 4, right? So where are you now, Amanda? It appeared as if there was going to be a shortage of food. And it also appeared that we were never going to have any products, any paper good products. And everyone was taking away the Lysol, and everyone was taking away the Clorox. And there is still no, what don't we have anymore? What is that? Hand sanitizers were missing. People started hoarding out of fear, getting stuff, collecting stuff as if they were the only person on earth experiencing this pandemic. Going to the grocery store, I would hype myself up, and I would be afraid of everybody around me. People, yeah, exactly. No one had masks on. And I would go at 7 o'clock in the morning, right before the store opened. Like I'm battling everybody. The anxiety was real. And so you went in, and I would tell my girlfriends, this is the strategy that we're gonna do, and we still can do it. You're gonna get up, you're gonna have a plan. Long ago are the days where people would go to grocery stores and just go to the grocery store. I mean, going to Target on a Saturday morning was my escape from my family, and I enjoyed it. Now I'm not doing it, right? So that is a loss for me. The loss if I'm going to get coffee and I'm coming back 3 hours later, I don't have that anymore. So what was happening was that everyone was taking everything, and my anxiety was up, and I had a plan, and I went grocery shopping, and I came back as if I went into battle. So I'm not sure if that's where we are right now. The grocery stores, they're also frantic. I don't know how the grocery stores are set up in your community, but the line, right? There was a big black tape line that was to show us that we needed to stay, 6 feet from each other, away from each other. In my community, we follow those rules. I'm noticing in different communities where I go to, they're not following those rules, and then people are fighting about the space that people are invading. I went to the Dollar Tree this morning. This man, he was breathing down my neck, and I was like, sir, I'm gonna need for you to back up. So I'm still like, what is happening? Why is here? So I feel that where we were, and even sometimes we still have anxiety when the paper, because some people understand that if you go Tuesdays at 6 o'clock in the morning, the paper goods are going to be available, so hoard away, right? And then you have some people who because we're using the mask, might have a false perception of grocery shopping. All right. So here's some tips that you can take away. You go to Dollar Tree every week. When I discovered that the Dollar Tree was open, I was so happy. I said to myself, what do I need at the Dollar Tree? Okay, so we're going to talk about that. So when you're thinking about our new normal, or how we are being conditioned right now to live, the essentials of grocery shopping is essential. So what you might want to do is think about your trips. Minimize the amount of trips that you make to the grocery store. Try to think about, what is it? Is it essential that I get a candy bar? Is it essential that I get this ice cream? Or should I have a list, create it, and then go grocery shopping? So what you want to do is minimize how many times during the week. So you have to have a plan. How today's Monday, however you shop Monday through Sunday. How often do I need to go to this food line, this Safeway? How often do I need to go? And then when you're there, one of the things that we are supposed to be doing now is wearing masks. I've seen people at the grocery store, at Target, they're not really wearing it. They're wearing it halfway. And I find myself paying attention to how they're wearing their mask. But I wear a scarf because I can't wear a mask. I get these homemade masks that don't fit my ears. I have small ears. They come off. Then I have anxiety around that. But I wear a nice scarf. So everyone is supposed to wear one. So make sure when you're leaving your home, you have everything that you need to conquer the grocery store. So you have your mask. You may or may not have any more Lysol, but your hand sanitizer. One thing I noticed is that I used to wear gloves. So I'm not sure if everyone wears gloves. Does everyone wear gloves? Okay. So one of the things I noticed with the gloves was that I might have, I'm using gloves and I'm using them to start because I have anxiety. So I have the gloves in my hand and I'm driving, exactly, cross-contamination. I'm driving my car. I come out, gloves. I'm using everything in the gloves, my phone, and then I go back in my house, gloves. So I stop using gloves and just wash my hands. And then I try not to touch my face. So I don't think we need to wear gloves, right? Right, that's true. Gloves but if you're wearing the gloves, make sure you to dispose of them. You're not like like today I did gas. I had gas, so I went to get gas, but I used napkin and I did. And once I was finished, I threw it away simply because I'll forget and the phone would ring, and then I'll go pick up my phone and I'm using with the gloves. Yes, I wiped down all the doorknobs. That's a good one, to wipe down the doorknobs with disinfect. Yeah. Yes. So, okay, so no gloves, right? We all agree that gloves may not be the best thing to do. Power towels in my car for gas use. So at the grocery store, one of the things that we try to do is, remember back in the day when we used to take a paper and we used to take a pen or a pencil and we would write. I don't know if people still do this now, but you would write everything that you need. Your to-do list was on paper and pen. Try to do that and try not to use your cell phone when you're going to do, because you want to have the paper that you're going to dispose of. And you're right, because at home you're writing it out and you're thinking about it and you're focused. So if you're like me, if things are on my if everything's on my cell phone, I'll scroll while I'm waiting online, or I'll do something and I'm contaminating my phone. So you want to be alert, you want to be focused, you want to be present with your list. And you want to minimize as much distraction as you possibly can. All right. Right. So yes, I'm reading that paper towels, wipes, hand sanitizers, they stay in the car. I have some in my home and I have some in my car that I keep also. And I wipe, when I leave, I try to wipe my steering wheel. So I wipe it down before I go back in. So when I used to use gloves, I would take them and dispose of them. But now I just don't do that. I don't wear them at all. So the other thing you might want to do also is we talk about preparing yourself, right? You have your list from the house that you're going to write down. You're not going to use a cell phone. You're going to write everything down. By writing this list down, going through your cupboards and going through your house, connecting with your kids, because my kids are famous. When I leave, they'll tell me, "Oh yeah, buy the cheese. Oh yeah, buy this." And one of the things I had to train my family, because I am the designated person who goes grocery shopping, is that whatever you need, tell me now, because I'm not going to the store like I used to. I used to run in and out because, but I'm not doing that anymore. So if I'm going Monday and I have to go back Saturday, those are the only days. So get it while you can. So have a conversation with the people you live with so they can have their list ready for you too. And so, okay, so we talked about the list. We talked about the list will help you minimize the amount of time you're spending at the people's grocery store. And I don't know how far you guys have to travel, but I travel where my grocery store is really in very close proximity to where I live. So I was not aware of how many people were actually on the road until I went to work to pick up something. And I was like, oh my God, 495 is packed. So people are moving, right? So we have people moving. They may not, and my point is that the people who are in the grocery store might be moving around. So in my mind, I'm thinking everyone is going to the grocery store to the house, but that's not the case. So I really, really had to come up with a plan that works for me. So here we go. We said minimize the amount of time of trips you make. Have a list that's not on your cell phone because you want to mess around with your cell phone. Since you're the designated person, wear your mask. Always cover it, the whole thing, right? And some people even cover their ears because they're afraid. They don't know if anything's going to enter their ears. So the ears, the whole thing. If you can get a mask, I know there's some masks that are cute, but make sure they're fitting you. Know your danger. So the next step, someone says, okay. Oh yeah, online shopping is another alternative too. I get a lot of stuff from online shopping, but then there's a whole process of how I collect my items at the house. So that's a whole different conversation and Zooming how to dispose of Amazon products when they come because nothing enters my house. So you have you're not wearing your gloves, you have everything you need, you write down your list. Now you're home. So you get to the grocery store and now you're home. How do you dispose of your grocery bags? Do you take your food inside your house? Do you wipe all your food that was just purchased from the grocery store? Some people do that. I don't do that. I just take all the bags in and I dispose of them. Everything is placed where it needs to be until the next trip. So, but what I am finding though is that my anxiety is not as high as it was when we first started going grocery shopping. And then I was very surprised because the grocery store they were hiring. So it wasn't going to be a shortage of food anymore. At first there was no chicken, no food, nothing. And then all of a sudden there were food. So that also reduced my anxiety of shopping. And but with some friends of mine, early on, and even now, we talk about how do you strategize to make sure you're safe, and also be aware of your surroundings in the grocery store. I know we all sensitive to sneezing and coughing, so you could probably, if you're like me, could hear a sneeze four aisles down, or you could hear a cough 4 aisles down. Just be aware of who's around you. Even if you have your mask on, just be aware of it. Just, the mask is there to protect you, yes, but please be aware of because you don't know what you're entering, the space that you're entering. Oh, who just left that space? So just think about when you're in the grocery store, when you're shopping for essentials, just make sure that you're safe. Amanda says that she refuses to go to Walmart. Well, I went to Walmart the other day and I was like, oh my, it was crowded. It was definitely crowded. There was a lot of people there. And I find that people are very impatient and they're not as mean. They're mean. They're not as nice as when it first started. And everyone needs to go home. And I'm wondering, is it because everyone have anxiety and they're like, okay, I'm here. I'm ready to go. I'm ready to go. I'm ready to go. All the sick people go to Walmart. Yeah, it was. It was a lot of people. It was a lot of people, and I was kind of taken back by it. Now the Dollar Tree not playing. 10 people, and they closed the door. They shut the door. And after 2 people left, 2 people went in. And they had a big old sign, no mask, no service. So I appreciated that. Go early to avoid the crowd. So Amanda says, when you're navigating grocery store aisles, leave your cart at the end and just go up the aisle and grab what you need. Yes, I do that as well. I don't go with it. I notice sometimes it all depends on where I used to take my cart, and then there was a battle between me and this customer. So she wanted to cross me, but she was afraid to cross me. So I was like, I'm gone. I'm gonna be the first one to go. But then I just stopped. But one of the things, just still be polite while you're grocery shopping. When I'm grocery shopping, I'll say good morning, good afternoon, hello. Even though we're in this pandemic, even though everyone's there for a purpose and it's just to get the food and go home and be safe, we still can show compassion. We still can be nice. We still can be pleasant. And I try to do that all the time still, because with this mask, it's so hard to hear you. I'm like, what do you come again? Especially with your cashier. And just be friendly with the cashiers, because they're there every day as essential employees. Now they have the big old plastic, but still, they're meeting different people every day. So we can still be nice and be kind to those who are serving us. So let me see. Someone said you wipe down your food in your package and throw the bags away. Then you wipe your counter down. Okay, so we have I'm happy to see that we have a lot of people here in this Zoom. We have people from Chicago or New Orleans. Our national president is in the house. I believe Melissa Haley, thank you for coming. And we have a lot of people from Baltimore, DC chapters, as well as
Boston.
Boston?
I saw Boston.
Hey, Boston. Maryland, Illinois. Okay. Yeah, so we have a lot of people. We actually are moving along. Amanda, do you think if we could have maybe 1 or 2 people share any tips that they have we can ask if anyone has, you raise your hand so we can let you in. Yes, Georgia just did start, right? And people are having anxiety. Charlotte, North Carolina, hello. So if you can, just drop where you're here. Oh my God. Where you're calling from. So we can do a shout out. Baltimore's in the house. Charlotte, North Carolina's in the house. Who's in the house? Who else is it? New Orleans. All right, Sir Some Quarter. Go ahead, Sincere. DC's in the house. Boston. Hello, Maryland, DC. Okay. About mental health, we'll talk about. Thank you, Christy. Okay. Dallas, Texas is in the house. Yeah, so we're going to, Amanda said now's a great time to pool resources to share for our parents, DC, Southeast. So we do, I know we will definitely host some other conversations either here or live on Facebook, because we want to make sure as leaders in our community that we equip our social workers to be, as change agents that you have, as you continue to pour to your clients. We as leaders want to make sure you're healthy and well to do so. So that's something we're definitely interested in doing. But I'm gonna have Amanda come back. I'm gonna spotlight her so she can take any questions that you might have. Anyone who wants to ask verbally, hear your voice. Let's hear your voice. Maybe 1 or 2 people, raise your hand and we'll unmute you, and you can ask the questions around what is that? Navigating your telework. Okay.
Yes, I see that our national president just mentioned something as a reminder. So Baltimore Legacy has piloted, our chapter of ABSW has piloted a website for the Black community. It is called blackcommunityresource.com. I will put it in the chat. It's brand new. And so we are looking for people to go on and add resources to it. We do need that. There is a link. I mean, it is meant to be simply a resource for community. It is not meant to be a place where, it's not a business directory. It is a resource directory. There are certain categories. There's COVID-19 resources, basic needs, income needs, physical, mental health, and self-care, self-help, and self-care. And so anything, particularly those that are Black owned, Black led, Black supported resources is what we want to have on the website. And so if you have a private practice, if you know of health, yoga, yogis that are of African descent, you know of food pantries, kitchens in your area that are offering food, anything. You can also, let me just share the email. You can also share graphics. If you have a graphic, I noticed that people are making these graphics that just say, this is where you can get the food, this is where you can get this resource. If you have a graphic, you can email that to share at blackcommunityresource.com. If you have a document, there have been some position papers written about how we as Black people can navigate this, how to navigate it, and what's going on from an African-centered perspective. We've received documents in that way. So if you have documents, graphics, go ahead and send them to that email address. Also, if you have resources like just contact information, you can actually fill in the form on the website, and we'll get that information and post it. Interestingly, when you were talking, Ange, I was thinking about the word essential, because people, I think that we have a range of definition on what essential might be sometimes. And like, for instance, one of the things that I do when I'm feeling anxious is I redo space. I'm a space person. So I want to, especially since we're in the house all the time. So even though I work from home full time, I don't actually work at home most of the time. I am used to going to Panera and to the cafe and the tea shop, and I don't ever work at home really. I'm always out. So this has been difficult for me to stay in most of the time. I want to go to my coffee shop and I want to go so bad. And so I have to shift the energy in my space to have to shift the energy in my space in order to, how should I say this? We conjure up the energy that we need. We can do that in this space. We can be intentional about that. And so essential for me is, what I'm gonna do when I get off this call is paint this room in here. And so because I want to paint this room, because I need to conjure up a different energy for one of the rooms in my house. So it was essential for me to go to Home Depot and get that paint. That was essential. And so we stretch essential, or like plants. I need to be surrounded by plants. Plants are healthy for us. And so now is the time that people tend to fix their gardens, plant their, fix their front porches, make them pretty, get their backyards together. People tend to do that in this April time frame. And so when I went to Home Depot, people were still trying to do that. People were buying plants, they had their masks, but they were buying, but that's all good for our psyche. So I see that as essential, because it's for our mental health sometimes, for us to really make sure that the space that we're in is conducive to us remaining healthy and lessening our anxiety.
That's a good point though, Amanda, because I think moving, because we're moving, right? In the beginning, in the early stages of this pandemic, it's essential was just to survive, at
Right.
the moment. It was not about making your house beautiful. It was not about painting. It was about get the food, go home, and that's it. So
Okay.
now people don't know what we call the new normal. So now you're saying, but wait a minute. It is essential that I breathe in this air. It is essential that I go and get these plants and put it in my house. It's essential. So we're moving in a different rhythm right now, where before the only rhythm was to survive. So I don't know if we're maintaining or we're accepting, but initially it was that's it. But yes, definitely, because I started buying different things for my home, and one of the things that this pandemic has forced me to do, Amanda, is to cook. Look at the rest. So now it's essential that I buy different pots and pans, and different herbs and different spices for my food. You're absolutely right. Yeah, absolutely right. So does anyone have any questions that they want to talk or say to us besides typing? Does anyone want us to hear their voice?
That was me typing. I'm reading this question from
Okay.
Melissa. Says, how do you manage your time working from home? I find I'm working more.
Yeah.
Yeah, so she may have missed that part of the conversation. It's really about maintaining a schedule. You would have a schedule at work if you were going to the office.
Mm-hmm.
And so really maintaining that schedule. If you know that when you're at work, when that clock is 5:30, you out of there, then at 5:30, you need to be out of there, even though you're in your house. You need to shut it down, shift gears. It's now family time. The upside is that we're not commuting. We don't have commutes anymore. We're saving money on gas. And so when you get off work, you just go into the family room. You don't have, or the kitchen. You don't have to drive home and be stressed with the rush hour. So definitely stick to your schedule that you had as best as you can, that you had at work. If you were at lunch during a certain time, then take lunch at that time.
But Amanda, what do you
Yeah.
say the difference with that? Because in the beginning, I did feel like I worked a lot as well. And I think two things might have contributed to that. One is because you're Zooming all day, right? So you're in these long meetings and you're Zooming. Then you're on your computer doing other stuff. And then you're on the phone, on the TV. And then the expectation remains the same. So whether you're the level of not like you have to work on a computer. Never used to do it. You're not going anywhere, but straight to the computer. So the anxiety of I have to perform at the same level as if I went to the office and had water breaks and bathroom breaks, and people saw me, so they believed that I was working, not home taking naps.
Yeah.
So
I think it's a conversation, though. I'm going to say, and I'm saying that meaning with your work folk, whether it's your supervisor or your team, or if you're the supervisor or your team, to really acknowledge that this is a different way of functioning, and really collectively decide what is it that we want to make sure happens.
Right.
I think you have to have a collective discussion about what the values are around how we want to work in this environment. At the office we may have, but we're not at the office, right? And I just say that because I think about the fact that I work full-time, or work from home full-time, and that's part of, and as does the majority of our institution. Not all of our institution, but the majority is online. And so we're all everywhere. And there's just these bits of the values that we've set that come out. We have a phrase at Chamberlain called Chamberlain Care. And it's like, we take care of each other. They take care of faculty, and we take care of students. And so that value system says, in the middle of the day, when I know I need a break at work, I might have been in my office, or I might have met with you, but I can send a message in the chat to my dean and say, I need a minute because I need to get some tea. I need to re-up my coffee. I'll be back. Like, I just need you to hold on. Like, and so that might not be what happens in the office. And so now is the time to say, this is different. I now have my children home. So that means I'm going to need to take more breaks and open this door and check on them.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't going to do that at work, at the office, right? I wasn't calling the school every hour checking on my kids, but they're in the kitchen. And so I need to do that now. And so it is a time to revisit what the values are around what productivity means for us in this thing, and really have that conversation, I think. Like, we're all granting each other a lot of grace. And I think that's the thing, that I think we have to be gentle with ourselves and with each other, and grant some grace, because everybody's navigating this as best as they can. And yeah, open communication, Marceline says, and that is, yes, it requires that communication with your supervisors and your admins. And just being open. I mean, we're social workers. We know, most of us, we know how to have these conversations. We need to take a step back from the work and think about what we need as a collective unit in your work, your supervisors and your administrators. And I know everybody's not open to it. But, I mean, let's be real. We know that there's some supervisors that's like, you should get more done because you're at work, at home. That doesn't even make sense. That's not even logical. You have more things pulling at you at home than you do in the office. And so that's not really logical thinking, but you have the ability to set a boundary for yourself, and communicate those boundaries. So that's what I would say.
Okay. Absolutely. I definitely agree. And yeah, because people still want their bottom line met. You do have some folks who are more flexible, but then absolutely people want their work done. Okay. Any more questions? Okay. So I know, do you have any suggestions for Amanda and I as we work closely together during this difficult time to bring new topics and connect with you? Any topic areas that you would like to see us cover? Any conversations that you would like us to have?
So this is Randy from Chicago. Hey, y'all. So I have a question, and I think, because I got a bunch of mess going on right now. Did we talk about how we were going to pull those resources in terms of having a centralized place? And because I know I just saw something from National that probably was trying to do that, or maybe.
Are you talking about the website?
Yes.
Yes. So in terms of pooling resources, the process is that anybody can go onto the website and click the link, share a resource, which should open a form that they can put resources into. And then the team of people that is updating the website will put those resources on the website by state. If there are resources that have that are graphics or have files to them, documents, PDFs, that kind of thing, you can email them to share at blackcommunityresource.com.
And this is for us?
Say that again.
This is for us? Like, this is internally, we control this domain?
Yes. Right now, so when you say we control the domain, right now, the domain is under Baltimore Legacy chapter at the moment.
Well, no. I mean,
sorry.
That is us being Black.
Yes, Black people. Yes. So it's really, sorry. It's meant for us to be, it's meant for the resource website to be resources for us, by us. So
what's the email again?
The email is share. I'm going to type it in the thing. Share at sorry, I keep saying Baltimore because that's my context, right? Share at blackcommunityresource.com. And it's not an S on it, it's resource.com.
All right, because I wanted to be clear, one, because
sure.
I don't know who's gonna manage it, but I just sent you all probably.
We got a team.
So ours we put into form of a PDF of a Excel, and there are probably 20 different pages, and it's hundreds of resources from
right.
food
So
pantries.
yeah,
So I just sent the link.
got it.
The way ours is set up, you could probably just send out this whole thing because it is for Chicago, but
Yeah.
it breaks it down from food pantries, rental assistance.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, if you have a lot, yeah, I would go ahead and just what you just said, put it in an Excel sheet and just email us the Excel, and we'll get it on there. Because the website functionally is broken down by state. It's broken down by state and by category, and so we would have the people on the team go ahead and put that in. But yes, because that would keep you from having to enter each one. So I get it. Do that the way exactly how you're doing it on the spreadsheet, and we'll take care of it.
I'll send it to you all already.
Okay, great. I will look for it. And I was gonna pull it up, Ange, and share my screen really quickly so that people can just see what that looks like. So this is the website. And as you can see, I just know that there are some, you click find a resource, there are all the states. I know that there are resources in Maryland. So we go to state of Maryland and click basic needs, physical, mental, we've got a few resources on there. But again, this is very new. So we need more people to send those resources so that we can get them up here as soon as possible.
Amanda, question. Yep. Can you click on Illinois, and then I want to show, because I want to see how you all may be able to.
You said click on what? I'm sorry.
All right, Illinois.
Oh, so right, find a resource. So right now, Illinois doesn't have anything on it because we don't.
So then, when you stop sharing, I want to share this and see how you all will be able to put it in this form.
Okay. Can I make a suggestion? When we're done, can we switch over to a call and then we can navigate that?
Sure.
Okay. I just want to show really quickly, share a resource. So if you click share a resource, like if you just want to put your private practice on here, you click share a resource. The email is there if you have documents. And it opens up to a Google form. You enter the information here and we'll get that information. Talks about the eligibility requirements to access the resource. The categories, we want to know what category you want it to go under. We will have the address so we know what state is in. And so it gives very clear directions, we think are clear in terms of the website and sharing information. So I see that Melissa mentioned in terms of topics, Ange, you asked about topics. She said graduation and celebration ideas and opportunities. Yes, that is a thing. I know I mentioned to our vice president, we have to talk about it in more detail about possibly, we were planning to do a rites of passage for the Black students graduating social work in the area. But of course we weren't able to do that as a physical event. And so we're trying to figure out if we can somehow recreate that in a virtual way. One of the things that Baltimore Legacy does, I know Richmond does a similar thing, is we give Black, red, and green cords, graduation cords. I did have them somewhere. Graduation cords to the students that are graduating. I know Richmond does stoles, I think. For the chapter at BCU. And so I think there are definitely creative ways that we can celebrate a milestone, even though they're not really getting the event that they've been. Okay, so there's a question. Is there a difference between resources in Black communities and or resources offered by Black people for Black communities? Just want to be clear about what resources we're sharing. Right. So there are some resources on the website that were specific to COVID that are not necessarily Black led or Black sponsored or Black facilitated. And so we will take those resources. Like there's resources to help people navigate what they should expect in terms of their stimulus check. That's obviously not Black specific, but people need to know that. And so we will take resources. The goal for in general, and I think outside of COVID resources, we would really want we want to highlight Black resources that are coming from offered by Black people. But yes, if they're food pantries, those are basic needs. They may not be Black led, but people need food. So please send the resources and we will add them too. Thank you for that question, Katie. I see Kovana, I think it's licensed prep. One of the things that Ange and I talked about as something that we have to flesh out, but we think would be a great thing to have a tele-webinar on is grief and how we as Black people particularly ritualize, transition. We are not able to do so in the same way that some of us might be used to right now. People are losing loved ones and we can't do what we usually do. We can't be with them. We can't be by their side. And so figuring out strategies and creative ways to do our best to honor those of our people who have gone on to be ancestors in our families and our communities, just how to manage that. I think that's a thing that's affecting a lot of people. What was the other one, Ange? I think it was about space, right?
Yeah.
Clutter.
Clutter. Space.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you're up to organizing your space in
Yes.
this time, if you want to do that, how to do that. Do we have any other hands raised that I'm not?
I have raised hands.
Oh.
Okay. Do you see them?
Yep. I see Sincere.
Okay.
So Sincere, you're unmuted. Do you have a comment you want to make?
That was from earlier, but I think I typed it in, so I appreciate you all sharing what you all shared. I just want to say to everyone, like you said, be patient with yourself. Make sure you're exercising, right? And that doesn't mean like hardcore exercising, but going for simple walks every day is important, right? And we talked about rituals, right? So whatever that looks like for you. So if it's in the morning, right, you're taking 10 deep breaths right before you get out of bed, right? And then you transition to the area that you're working in, right? And then taking breaks throughout the day. Right? So going for a walk, walking throughout your house, drinking plenty of water, right? Drinking I put down healthy snacks, right? Make sure like you consume these things, right? Don't just buy them and leave them in your house, right? And there's also a list of things that they're encouraging healthier foods to build up your immune system at this time, right? So definitely consuming those things, are important at this time. But be careful and be gentle with yourself, right? Get outside. You are allowed to walk. You're allowed to be outside, right? Just not in large groups.
Thank you, Cynthia.
Yes.
Melissa, I see your hand is raised. You could come in and talk.
I wanted to follow up on something that Amanda said. The National Association of Black Social Workers and ABSW will be partnering to do a seminar on grief. The Rituals and Ceremonies Committee from ABSW and ABSW, Dr. Gloria Baptiste Roberts, who teaches on grief at TSU, and Dr. Tawana Sabbath from Philadelphia, who operates a funeral home. She has a very interesting perspective on how COVID has changed the way that we honor those who transition, and they have good thoughts and ideas. So that will be coming. It's tentatively planned for the weekend of May 1st. Dr. Jackson with ABSI is finalizing that. So I think that we will definitely let the chapters know about that. I just cannot thank you all enough. DC, Baltimore, I see Chicago on the line. Atlanta had an online brunch. People really leading the way into the next wave of what NABSW is going to be. We have had for 52 years, we have operated by the way we operated. So now we have been forced to make a change, which I don't necessarily see as a bad thing. And I appreciate you all testing the waters. I saw your town hall meeting. I saw the brunch. I saw different things that you are doing and appreciate your leadership, Baltimore, with the Black Community Resources website. So there is no idea too big. Randy and I are texting and emailing as we're trying to prepare for the online steering committee meeting. But I think Amanda calls it revolutionary ideas. So in order to get to revolution, and you have to evolve. So we are evolving as an organization, and I really want to thank you all. And please let us know what you're doing, because I want to celebrate it.
You can't hear you, Melissa. Oh, she muted herself. Okay. Okay. Let me come here. Okay, so thank you, Melissa, for that. Amanda and I, last night had a very long, rich conversation. And prior to, we talked about 2 weeks ago about teaming up. Our chapters felt that, we should team up. We're so close. We have a lot to offer. And grief was definitely one that we talked about. In another topic that, we talked a lot about is how we're showing up. We're showing up, and it's showing on the screen, but oftentimes we don't think it's showing up on the screen because we're being forced to, because you could definitely tell how people are feeling by just watching people on Zoom. So you look, you could tell when people have checked out, you can tell when they're doing something completely different, and you can tell when they're not present. So that's another challenge in creating space, decluttering, and grief. So I'm happy, Melissa, that that's going to be something that is going to be offered before Amanda and I started planning, because it's so important. Things are happening so fast. We're moving so fast. But we definitely wanted to take the opportunity and talk a lot about what's happening for the DC chapter. We one of the things we talked about, we had our meeting in April, and we were looking at maintaining your taking self-care. Pretty much was around self-care, and we came up with hashtag Black Social Workers Speak Wednesdays. So now until the end of April, unless we decide to continue it, we're going to have town halls live on our Facebook. This week past was on Black men and how they maintain their mental health. And on Wednesday, it's going to be around relationships. I have my kids with me, my mom. So we're constantly, people are here. And what have you learned about yourself? I've learned that I'm an introvert, extrovert. I love to be around people, but my energy, I get energy through watching you on the screen. I don't need to be around people to be energetically connected. I'm connected with you on the screen. So we're going to talk about relationships and how people are managing that. Yes, what is that? Black Social Workers Speak Wednesdays. And that is what we're doing this next week. We're talking about relationships, how you're maintaining it, are you in isolation? So we're going to have continued conversations, and I know the DC chapter is going to continue working with Amanda, bringing resources to the Black community. And I want to say to Amanda and the whole Baltimore legacy, what an amazing resource that you, it looked as if, and I'm sure it was a labor of love for our Black community and for our chapter. You did an amazing job, and I thank you for that. And I will work within our chapter to bring resources, because I don't want DC not to have resources. We have a lot of resources to share, and it's for us, by us. Yeah. And we need to continue to promote it that way. And the love, you definitely in that, it definitely shows the love for the Black community and the love for the chapter. So I want to thank you, Amanda, for taking that on. It's amazing. So
I appreciate it, and I think it's definitely a team effort. It wasn't, it's a team effort, and I think this first wave is getting those resources on there, and then the second wave is getting it to community.
Yes,
letting community know. I mean, we chose that domain Black community resource, because it's easy. It's exactly what it's supposed to be. It says exactly what it's supposed to say, so that when we promote it to community, we can say, no, just go to this website and look for what you need, and it all be there. Because we know there's a lot of things going on in the community, great things that happen, grassroots things that sometimes we just don't know about because they're just doing it. They're just making it happen, and they're serving people. And sometimes we just don't know. And so those are the things that we absolutely want to highlight when we know about them, so that community can take advantage. I think that's so very important. I was thinking, just by, chat, if people can respond about another topic that might be useful. It's just some of our, the best word I got, my word is leaving me right now, but, non-Western ways of managing stress and anxiety. We have lots of people who are doing meditation and yoga and Reiki and acupuncture and all these, maybe not acupuncture right now, but things that, but also just things you can do at home with essential oils, with crystals. And sometimes people just don't know, they might be interested in that kind of thing, but they don't know where to start or what to do with that, how to create, sacred spaces for yourself in your house, or how to cultivate the energies that you want. And I think we have natural elements in our, there are natural elements that help us do that. So if people are interested in that, that would be great. Katie, that's a great topic. How to support MSW students. Yes. And internship exceptions. I know all about that every day. So I think that's a great topic. We'll definitely write that down. Thank you, Kavana, for saying what I could not articulate. Holistic practices myself. I think holistic was the word that I could not grab at the moment. So yes, so if people are interested in that, we can certainly make that happen also, for sure. We have the resources in the chapter to do that. Let's see. Yes, for sure. I don't know who that is. Just says Guri Fish Book.
That's Renee. Renee?
Oh.
Yeah, Renee says, I pray daily. God is a provider and a healer and keeper. Yes. Definitely think that different non-Western ways of dealing with grief and during this time. And also the other thing, I was thinking about today when I was at the store was how do I think we talked about this yesterday a little bit. How do we then transition to the mainstream America after being in our home for 6-8 weeks with a mask on? When do you remove it? Do you ever remove it? Are we in constant fear? How do you work? Because I work with children. Am I going to allow to hug them? And that's been our culture at the center. We create a safe space to greeting. Like, how is it going to change how we greet, our greeting practices, how we interact with each other? So those are. I went to a funeral recently, and people still was attempting to hug because you don't want to not. I should maybe, I don't know, type of thing. So what's within our nature as Africans, how do you lose that while you're trying to stay alive, is another topic. So thinking ahead too, while we're surviving. So those are topics, but I know does anyone have any questions, comments? I see someone did say something about MSWs. I know that is a hot topic. But is there anything anyone have, or if not, we're going to, I'll let Amanda do the closing. Mm-hmm. I just want to thank everyone, and Amanda's going to close us out with some really good tips and a closing, a takeaway, or goodbye message until we meet again. But I just want to thank you for coming here on Saturday afternoon. Again, like I said, you could have been anywhere else doing whatever you wanted in your home. But you decided to join us as this topic is important. Chrissy said no more handshaking here. As this topic is important to you, and as we navigate this new state of being. So as Sincere said, be patient with yourself, be kind with yourself. Don't be too hard on yourself. It's okay if you're scared. It's okay if you feel whatever emotion that you're feeling, allow it to happen to you, and then navigate it and figure out how to not to let it consume you, but to just to feel it and be in that space. So I'm going to have Amanda come on and give you some few words as we get ready to say, have an amazing Saturday. Amanda?
So quickly, someone just posted a topic about finances and budgeting, and I'm glad she did, because I totally forgot that our Baltimore Legacy is hosting a webinar on May the 4th. You can RSVP at Eventbrite. It is on credit building and financial planning for social workers. There's going to be a second one at the beginning of June that I think will be more connected to home buying. So thank you, Kavana, for mentioning that. The details will be on our website, just Baltimore ABSW. .com. In terms of closure, I echo what you said. I echo what other people have said about really taking it easy and, keeping in mind that, as a people, we are not just survivors, but we thrive. We don't just survive. We thrive, and we have everything we need within ourselves to manage what's happening. Even when we don't feel like it, we personally as an individual if we don't have it, our brother or our sister has it. And so as much as possible, maintain connection to other people. We are a collective people, and that's important to who we are and our psyche. And so, that's my wish for everyone. We are a spiritual people, so please rely on your spiritual practices to keep you grounded and keep you focused, whatever that might be. So yes, please. Thank y'all for sharing all your experiences. We look forward to seeing everybody on the next webinar. And please take great care of yourselves and each other. Okay? Have a happy Saturday.
Okay, everyone, have a happy Saturday and get lots of rest. Drink your water. Buy the snacks and eat it, right?
Yeah.
And move your body. Until next time, be safe and stay in the house if you can. All right. Goodbye.
All right. Take care. Bye-bye, everybody.